Hi, it's Martin, Martin's Engine Services. Well, I'm just in the process now of starting to make video number 2. I'm having a look at this old Morris Minor engine of mine. Just briefly to recap, it's the original engine from my 1955 Series 2. I believe they've done 70 or 1,000 miles. Been in storage for many, many years. It came with my car because my car's already had a replacement bigger CC 1.1 engine. And I just thought I'd have a look at this. It's never been apart. As far as I can tell, this is completely factory original. And so far what I found is quite surprising. Excuse me. And I tore everything off. I've got down to a short block now. The camshaft, one of the cam followers has got a little bit of wear on it. The actual camshaft, it was that one. That follower. No, that follower, so I had the wear on it. There appears to be no damage whatsoever on that cam lobe. There is a very tiny mark on that one. Otherwise, perfect. I mean, the journals, well, they are spotlessly clean. There's no end float. There's no movement in it. I mean, that is in pretty much A1 condition. A quick polish up there and a little clean up, and that's good to go. As I said previously, I think it's had a lot of oil changes because everything in here is surprisingly good. I mean, there's inevitable sludge of an old engine. However, there's this huge contraption here, which is part of the oil filtering system that sits in the sump. It's like a strainer. You can actually take that apart and wash that clean if you want to. And when I undone that, a piece of the big end bearing fell out of it. So we do have a part of a bearing, so we know it's going to be interesting. Now, this is number 4 cylinder where the problem is, or we know the problem is. So let's just, let me bring things around a bit so you can get a closer look at that. There we go. It's another of those engines that's been stored for years and years and years, but seems to be leaking all everywhere at the moment. So I've got a right old mess going on here, marvellous. Now, I was just ran along them all, they seem fine. Now these have all got locking tags on, as with everything else. And I've just undone the locking tags on number 4 here. Now, these are definitely all original, because you can never get the locking tags to look as nice as the factory. Now here's where the fun bit starts. I've just gone on these bolts and I thought, right, I'll start shifting them. They're about 25, 30 foot-pounds or something, and yep, that one went all right. Now I've gone on the bottom one here, and can anybody see what the problem is? It's just hanging out. Oh dear. So the actual tab washer was bent over very firmly against the bolt, and I tapped it down at, it must have knocked so much it stretched the bolt, so it's surprised I hadn't thrown the end, really. Oh dear. Oh, oh yes. Oh yes, we've had a royal bearing failure. Oh, it's got everything wrong with this one. She's absolutely hammered. There's a lip forming on the side there, which is actually hammering it over the cap. And there's the line of the oil where it has been running for quite some time with the bearing skewed in the cap. These have offset conrods in these engines, so you can't switch. You've got to get careful when you put the centre. The rods are in pairs. There's a two facing, and they won't go in the wrong way around. But oh, look at that! Wowzer! It really doesn't smell healthy. Now this is the bolt that was loose. Oh yeah, it's got some good witness marks around there where the cap was thumping against it, so it must have loosened it up. It may have stretched it. I'll measure it out of curiosity against a known good one. Oh yeah, that's done a proper job on that. Wow. Let's pop the piston out now. I'm not going to take... Oh! It melted. There we go. Oh, look at that. It melted. You ever heard the term run a big end? That's what it means. You've actually got them so hot, they've actually melted. Actually, thinking about it, these probably aren't steel backed tin type bearings. These probably are white metal coated. Yes, they're probably white metal bearings, and they got to a certain temperature when the white metal would actually melt, and that's what's happened. You actually run the bearing. When you pour these, you obviously pour them. It's called running them in. So, oh, look at that. Yes, I think these are white metal. I'll take another one and I'll have a look, but that's actually melted and then actually cooled down. There we go. Look at that. Oh well, it sat in the shed for all that time. It didn't disappoint. I'm not too worried about damaging this rod by hitting it with a screwdriver, because I think this rod's probably done. Fantastic. Now here's a very ancient piston on an engine. 4-ring setup. I think they're bolted on gudgeon pins. And if the bolt comes loose, the pin works its way out. Now, that is not a crack. That is an intentional groove machined right through the skirt of the piston. And what happens is, as the piston warms up, it expands in the bore to try and take up some of the wear or the play or whatever. So the piston always expands and contracts in the bore. That's obviously, it was called a split skirt piston. That was not uncommon to see that. The actual general condition of the piston is very, very good. The rings aren't... Yeah, the rings have still got very good tension. They're not overly sharp, a little bit, but not hideous. Hasn't been a lot of blow by. There's no great scuffing on there at all. But the poor old conrod, oh dear. Oh yes, we've actually got some molten... There's actually some molten metal stuck to the side here. Let's put that bearing in. Which way round was it? That way round, wasn't it? Yeah. Yes, there we go. That's what happens. So that is what running a bearing's called. You've literally melted it and it's run out. So yeah, they'll be white metal. These will be white metal bearings. So that's quite special, that is. I'm probably going to leave that out and show people actually just what happens. Oh, fantastic. They don't require a great deal of heat to go actually. That was also the problem with old engines with white metal bearings, that they didn't require a lot of heat. And this is exactly what happens. I mean, this rod is definitely scrap. I mean, it's been hammered, it's been galled, it's been burning, it's been through hell, basically. Spectacular. What I'll do, I'll pause things for a moment and I'll pop off one of the other ones that seems good. We'll have a look and see what type of bearing they are. I'll also pop a main off and have a look into that as well. Right. Okay, I got it wrong. I just pulled another bearing out, and these are steel backed, sort of like conventional bearings that we would know today, with the tin coating, lead and tin. What this actually is, this is actually the steel bit that's actually melted and have been hammered out. That's quite impressive. It shows you the strength of these conrods not to blow and break the cap off. Now the bolt that was loose is actually about 1/4 mil longer. I've measured 2 of the others and it's about 1/4 mil or slightly over 1/4 mil longer, so it has stretched. Excuse me. And I've just popped the bearing off a number 2 and that seems absolutely fine. We've lost it. I mean, it's not in perfectly good condition. I mean, it suffered an oil failure, but because considering all odds, it's not breaking up. I mean, it's hammered and it's got signs of oil failure, but it's still tight fit. Still fits nicely into the cap. Such a good fit, don't want to go back in. It's fine. I mean, that is part of the problem with these. They've got very small journals, and they talk. I think this Nick affectionately known as the toffee crankshaft. These because they're so soft. I mean, the webs on here are very small compared to the other engines. The mains are a lot smaller as well. It is actually a form of flat plane crankshaft because it is completely flat along there. The journal isn't like a Ford one, which kind of does that sort of shape. But the mains, there's wear on the mains, and we've got to imagine it was running all them years with original type oils and that poor oil filter that did half a job. The mains are very good, or centre main. Particularly, the centre main takes a lot of punishment in this type of engine because obviously you've got 3 bearing crankshaft without the extra 2, so there is a tendency for the crankshaft to whip. That's what makes the 1098 engine rumble a bit, because the crank does tend to whip a little bit. But I mean, that main is still absolutely perfect, really. There's no sign of any pickup. The bearing material's still good, so yeah, the thrust washers on each side. I like we're missing the thrust. Oh, we stayed in there. There he is. There he is. Brush washer. Hardly any marks on it at all. Although that's not the working one, is it? That's the working one. So, no, very good. Very good. So the number 2 big end journal is very shiny still, very clean. It's very few marks. None of these rods exhibit more than the average sort of side movement. There's a little bit in that one. Yeah, I mean, there's a bit in there, because I mean, they all would have suffered a bit, but not as bad as poor old number 4. So I guess he left the chat. I've no idea what this pipe does on this rear main bearing. I've been pondering this since I took the sump off. None of the other engines have it. It's only this earlier one appears to have this. Whether it's just a drain. Oh, it might be a drain for this rear bearing housing. Because there's no oil seal in the back of these. There's just a very accurately machined housing here and a bolt-on part. It's possible that's the drain back. Yes. Yeah, it probably is. I think the later engine just has a hole drilled in there, so that may just drain it back. I'm not entirely certain on that one. Don't quote me, although it will go right to the bottom, near enough the bottom of the sump. So, oh well, I guess there's some sort of reasoning for it. So, in conclusion, there, I think we can definitely say the number 4 bearing has definitely left the building and is somewhat worn. That is fantastic. Oh, we got a bit more of it here. We might be able to resurrect that. So these are nearly £100 a set for this engine, because the 1098 ones are about this wide. So the 948, 1098 and 1275 ones are all really huge size bearings. So, I mean, you could have this rebuilt. I mean, obviously exchange crankshaft or regrind it, one another new rod or resize the rod and piston rings, bits and bobs, but it would run into so much money, and unless you had an immaculate one-off show car that did a few thousand miles, it'd be all right. But you certainly wouldn't want to use one of these every day, from what I've heard. I mean, the 1098 or the 948 is a very good engine, and the 1098 gives you quite impressive amount of performance. So that's nearly 50 brake horsepower, and with the right differential fitted, that's more than adequate. So this poor old thing is definitely unwell. I'm really pleased I took it apart. It's been an interesting one to find out what happened to the old girl. So it's been sitting there in the shed all those years, and I thought, well, why not? Be a bit of something different. As I say, as it's a 20,000 views special, as I'm going to call it. I thought we'll have a look. Now, the bottom of the sump is a beautiful story. Just grab this out for a moment. Right, now the bottom of the sump. Oh, What have we got laying in here, folks? We have got some sort of... It looks like it's got bits of string in it. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Bit of grey sludge, bit of iron sludge off the crank, and sounds a bit gritty in places. Oh yes, look at that. How about that? Practically gone back to crude oil, I think. Oh, lovely. That's nice. There's no chunks. Oh. Oh yes. What is this? Shall we say that's very interesting in there? It doesn't smell too savoury either. Doesn't smell too savoury either. That's it, Martin. Get them words in the right order, boy. Yeah, so that's I mean, it's nice it's sludged around the sides or whatnot. There's those stupid seals, these cork seals that sit in the end of the sump. They are composite material. Now, and these are a pain. What I've discovered is the secret to these is to get, when you get the new ones, obviously, is I put Permatex sealer in the bottom. Then I drop these in, and I've got a nice round piece of metal or piece of plastic tube with a weight in that fits exactly in these. I put it across the two and I leave it overnight so they've glued down tight. Then you have to put the gasket on like this, trim it off to leave a small amount over the edge. Then when you bolt it all down, the idea is it all seals. It sort of works sometimes. One other area that was always a problem I discovered on these for leakage is where this front main bearing cap comes. You've got the front plate here, the timing plate with the engine mounts on, which bolts on there, and there is a gasket. Now, what tends to happen, you've got the seal round here, the plate round there, but this little bit here, on that very, very corner, that is actually exposed. So the plate is bolted on here, the seal of the sump goes into this groove round there, sort of sits into there like that. But that little corner there is actually exposed and is outside the engine. Sump obviously is here. What I found is that the oil can migrate between the two machine surfaces of the block and the cap and come out of exactly that corner both sides. So what I've tended to do in the past is just on the corner of this, from about there to the edge and the full width in there, it just put a little dollop of Permatex or Hylamar or whatever, and that stops that one absolutely dead. I kept getting oil leaks from behind the front plate, and I could not work out where it was coming from. And then I actually could see it beading up in the corner there. You've got the usual shims on the nose of the crank here, like a lot of these have to keep the timing gears in line. You can see how shiny that number 2 journal is. And how shiny that big end is, a main rather. It's not horrible in there. I mean, the bore's not horrible at all. It's not gouged or torn up. It's just worn. And there's a characteristic wear lip at the top of the bore you get with old engines. There's one little scuff in the bore there, but given its age, what it would have been through, and what type of oil it had from an early age, you can't really fault the old girl. I say inside the timing cover's all nice and clean. Here's the intermediate plate, and the main bearing, this bolts the front of the main, and that little gap is right here where that bearing sits, and it comes out effectively down there. You can't see it down there, and runs out, and that seems to be the problem area. When assembling these is hilarious because you've got this bit bolts on to the front, and it's held on with these two and these three. But the problem is, of course, until you put the timing cover on, the rest of this isn't pulled tight. So my given solution to this is to put a bit of sealant on both sides of the gasket, bolt this on, and put all the bolts in here that actually go into the block. Leave it overnight till it's gone off, then fit the cover. Because otherwise you're fitting this, then you've got to put the chain and blah 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 on. So here's a look at the old cylinder head. Hello. We're missing a collet. What is happening in there? Oh. Hello? Something has gone very badly wrong in that cylinder, in that valve, in that cap. We've got a collet sticking up there, a bit bent over the edge there. So the collet's set up proud on these and have a retaining clip. They don't fit them. They don't fit these on the later engines. They deleted those. And there appears to be half of a collet or something else jammed down there in place of it. Okay. Yes, you can see how mangled that is and how bent over it is. Yeah. I guess that must have happened when the head was off or something. There's no bits in the sump. Has the rocker shaft got any bits everywhere? Has the rocker shaft got any damage on number one? Particularly, didn't see. That's number one there. Let's have a look at the rocker shaft. Oh yeah, there's just a mark on the edge there where something. Yeah, something definitely happened. There's let me point to that with. There's a shiny mark there, and there's a shiny mark on the side there. Get that in the right angle. There's a little like dink there, and a dink there. Well, something must have come out. Okay, we'll never know what happened there, but I presume that's been running like that for absolutely ages. So, okay. You can see I can actually see the groove. Oh well. Let's have another look in the sump and see if we can find any of the missing bits. They may be in the sludge in the bottom. Time for a detector. Stick my finger in and have a fish about, see what we can find. Well, it doesn't seem to be anything large. Oh, hello. Aha. It might be a piece of bearing, of course. Nope. There's a little chunk of metal there. It's a bit thick for bearing. I guess it might be part of that collet. Let's have a look in the other half of the sump. We might find all the parts here. We can do a reassemble on it. Oh, what's this? Nope. Yes, here we go. What was that? Yeah, there's little tiny like fragments in there. When they are quite hard steel, those collets. I guess if it broke up, it possibly broke off, and the rocker shaft gave it a good old hit. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop that valve out of there actually and just see if the valve's bent. It could be. Well, I took the valve out. This is quite funny. We appear to have one standard factory collet, which has taken a fair old bit of beating, and we do seem to have a collet out of something else stuck in there. Yeah, it's a little tiny collet out of, I don't know, something modern. It almost looks like one out of a later Vauxhall engine or some of those later Ford Z-Tex or something. Oh, look at that. That's lovely. Well, I don't know how long it's been in there, and I guess it must have been working, and that was someone's solution. Well, I mean, the side of this one's got hammer marks in it everywhere where whatever happened happened. Maybe they lost one while they were doing the head and couldn't find one. The valve's actually straight, funny enough. And actually, that's got very little wear on that. I wouldn't mind betting it's probably had a head overhaul and a set of valves put in it. Now, the guides in these heads are pressed in and can be easily replaced. So, Yeah, there's a little bit of plan. I'm not taking all the rest out. But no, that's an exhaust valve, and that is just too clean. The guide is too good. The stem's too good. So it's possible. He may even add an exchange cylinder head, of course. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't know if I can date this head at all. I mean, I'm presuming it's the standard head. It may have had an exchange cylinder head. Yeah, evidently you can probably work it out from the casting numbers. So I can't say that is or isn't the original head for definite, but how about that? I think that's rather funny. That I laugh when I thought, really? I thought that was the bottom half of the broken collet. But no, it's a completely different random collet which should not be in there at all. These rely on one huge groove, and that's obviously the multi-groove, but oh well. Just shows you how good an A-Series engine is. If you haven't got the right parts, stick anything in it, don't mind. So, this is part 2, say, of the 20,000 view special. And I think I've got a bit of a mess to clear up now, because I think mine's got a little carried away with proceedings. Yeah. So it's been very interesting, and it just came to me today. Let's have a look and see what this poor old thing's like. So basically speaking, it's not as hideous as I expected. I mean, that crankshaft, they're a standard, I presume standards. Yeah, they were a standard size, and they are all factory bearings. So it would be grindable. You'd probably have to get it checked to make sure it's still straight, because that could have pinched it, which obviously between the journals. But you probably wouldn't unless you really needed to. Because I mean, you could spend sort of a £1,500 doing a full rebuild in a 1098, and probably £3,000 doing an 803. So you wouldn't. But I'm going to put it all back together again and put it back in the shed. I mean, it's the original engine to my car, and it's kind of lovely to have that. And I certainly wouldn't throw it away. And if ever I did pass the car on to somebody in the future, then they can have the engine with it. I've still got the original factory differential as well I took out. Unfortunately, it hasn't got the matching gearbox because someone had changed that, but it's nice to have this. So, I shall leave you with this beautiful view of Martin's carnage and mess he's made today. And so, thank you very much indeed for watching. So, please like and subscribe. Any more people you can think of at all, one extra viewing helps. But so, the 20,000 goal is just fantastic. So, thank you all again, and bye for now.